Recording. If you can hear, hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Gita Sidhu-Robb, and this is the wonderful Tessy Antony de Nassau. And that in the background is my new kitten screaming. If you can hear, it sounds like a mouse. It's in fact a kitten. I'm not clear why he sounds like a mouse, but he just does at the moment. Tessy has been ill, and I'm just saying you're such a hero, Tessy, to come on. Thank you so very much, because you've been getting through COVID, and that's insane, actually, to think that you have even managed to turn up looking more beautiful, I might add, than most people who aren't sick. So on that one, you're completely winning. I appreciate you.
You're very sweet. It's a pleasure to be here. And as I said before, if I promise something, I make it. So it would have been no question to cancel on you, my love.
Oh, but you should totally cancel on me next time, and we'll just move on and change another time. Tess, yeah, you know, it's such an interesting time to talk to you, because there's this doesn't define who you are, but one of the things that I have always liked about you is that when I look at what happened with Princess Diana, I look at what's happening with Meghan Markle, and I look at you, being royal has not been the definition of the beginning and the end of who you are, you know? And I think that that takes enormous courage, because it's such a huge thing. And you have not only being royal, you've come out of it, and you're creating an entire life that is much, much more almost than anything that you've done before. That's not an easy thing to do.
I think it has nothing to do with who I was married before, to be honest with you. I was always a very ambitious woman. And I think the fact that it seems like I'm doing more now than I did before is just because firstly, I was much younger when I was married still. So I have matured as a woman and know a bit more what I want.
Tessy, you were so young.
I was very young.
How old were you?
I was 21 when we got married. And, you know, I think I've just matured but I think it has nothing to do with me, with who I was married, that I do what I do now at all, actually. I think I would have done it nonetheless, even if we would have still been married now. And he was always wonderful. He actually always supported me in what I was doing. And we were always a very good team in that perspective, at least. So, yeah, so I think it's just a maturity that makes it look like I come out of the tunnel when you look at series such as you see the one on television. But I did have my own problems, which definitely deserve their own series at some point. Joke. But yeah, definitely not comparable to any other people's lives. I think, you know, for us, we just fell out of love, and that was really it. But we were madly in love when we were married, and we have beautiful children, and we are a great team now. So I think that is definitely how we differ from the TV versions that we are seeing, and also from other people's lives that we are seeing now. So, but yeah, it is definitely. It is, you know, as we mature woman, and definitely the responsibility, I needed to have a lot of responsibility very, very young.
You did, and you took on a lot of responsibility very young. But the thing that I find interesting, which is also what I mean, is that there are so many institutions, right, as women, that dictate our lives. And like I have an institution that has an opinion about me being brown. I have an institution that has an opinion about me being Indian and about being a woman. And then you added a layer of institution on top of that, which you are never going to not be part of because of your sons, right? And you have, what I find admirable, and I am a huge fan of yours, is that you have got this whole thing there, and you formed a life around it and separate to it, and you've still managed to define who you are. I think that's really takes a lot of courage.
Well, you're very sweet to say. I think it's just, as I said before, I'm just a very, very ambitious person. And, you know, as there's a saying that says, just because it seemed easy doesn't mean it wasn't hard. So, you know,
Oh, I like that. I've never heard that. That's beautiful.
yeah, it's really, I think I had really hard times, but I had also really amazing times, and I
What
keep having wonderful times, and I keep having hard times. So I think it's just really keep moving forward, no matter what happens in your life, and no matter what happens in your private life or in your relationship. And what I really learned, and I think that is what every single woman will relate to, listening to this, and also listening to it at another point in time, um, we will define ourselves and who we are as a person at some point in our lives. Some have it earlier, some have it later. And for me, I had really the great blessing as well to have wonderful, wonderful friends and strong women as role models that I could look up to. Such as you, for example, the sorority sisterhood, Farah, which is online, my best friend, and my mom, and some other people that I still love very much, Katie Spencer, that I have a lot of contact, and other people, and their stories and their lives. And it's just, you know, I carved out my own niche, and what I wanted it to be and how I want to define myself. And I need to do that every day. I think that is something that will never stop, and it will never stop for any of us, because people, no matter who they are, no matter how good-willed they are towards you, they will always try to put you in a box, because that is the easiest way of handling a person, right? Because if you can categorize people, you know what you're dealing with and you know how to react to people. And I think that is something you will always need to stand strong and make sure you respect yourself with how you define yourself, and not how other people want to define your life in the way that they depicted it for themselves.
I like the fact that, and also the fact with that strong women tend to think, take the box and burn it down while you're at it, because that's like a positive step. But I like the fact that you have such clarity about your ambition, because I find, like, I'm hugely ambitious, and I find that women are not always open about saying that they are very ambitious, because they almost struggle with it. It's almost unfeminine. And I think it is one of the most feminine things that you can be, to have this deep ambition, to have impact, because it is, we create the world. Why should we not have impact on it?
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, talking about ambition. Yes, of course. You know, we women, when we are ambitious, that means we are aggressive to people, right? And so on. And I think it's just the way, again, you define yourself and how you are.
Yeah.
I think I am ambitious, but I'm also loving and kind and empathetic and feminine and sensitive. And I think not everyone might see that, and not everyone might see my everyday life. Even if I put one picture on my Instagram, it's not my life. I always need to say that, because I'm flattered that people always that some people think that is my life, but it is just a millisecond of the whole day. But it's really, yeah, just stand strong for who you want to be and go straight forward with it. It is true, sometimes I also need to be reminded of that ambition, that is what I want to be, because sometimes also my friends or my close family say to me, Tessy, you need to refocus. You need to sit down and look for your notes and actually know what you're doing now. And then I'm like, okay, because sometimes, you know, that in the world there's so much beauty and there's so much happening and so much opportunity, but there's also so many things which are not good for you, which you don't always see straight away. A lot of people, like, kind of like the wolf in the sheep room.
Yeah.
Exactly, in the lamb coat. And it's just, you know, you need to be careful, because there's a lot of people like that out there. And so, yeah, just always redefine and fine tune your inner gut feeling. You know, just listen to yourself, because I always catch myself thinking, Tessy, that's not true. You know, that feeling is not real. And then something goes wrong, and then I know, I was right. My gut feeling was right. So I think we need to trust ourselves more. And that is something I need to remind myself all the time in order for the ambition to be authentic.
No, it's completely true, because I know that I think about something and I'll say a statement like, oh, it's going to be like this. And then I'm like, no, it's not going to be like that. And then I look back later and I'm like, what is the matter with you? You knew how it was going to pan out. You felt it. But I think that as women, we do get nervous about believing our gut instinct, because we like to believe the best in people. And it's not always the truth. And you know, it turns out that on the other hand, having those things go like that is how you develop resilience, right?
Exactly. I think, you know, with everything we are encountering in life, good and bad things, they are there to make us grow.
Yeah, to teach us.
We want it or not, exactly. It will happen nonetheless. And so I always try to see the lesson in everything, even in the worst situation. And, you know, we all have them. Everyone has their own cross. I will not compare my bad days to anyone else's bad days, because it's just not right. So I will respect each and everyone's bad days, but it's just, yeah, it's resilience is built over time. You're not born with it. And resilience, I think, by building resilience, I think there's also categories of resilience.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. What does that mean?
Well, I think it's just something in my mind which would make sense, thinking how you can build resilience and become bitter and angry. And
yes, and hate the world.
yes, or you can become resilient and become more empathetic every day, which I think I'm heading towards a bit more, because even the people who hurt me the most, I can't be mad with them anymore. I'm not a fighter anymore. I don't fight anymore, because I just think, you know, something really bad must have happened to that person for that person to turn out the way he or she turned out, you know, and then I feel sorry for them. So it's just, you know, when I see people and when I have a bad day, then I imagine another person walking down the street, even though they are not crying or looking mean, but who knows what kind of day they have, you know. So yeah, I don't judge, and resilience is there to grow, but sustainably in a positive way, I think, to help.
I think you can, I like the idea of the categories of resilience, because I find that with resilience, you can go towards compassion or towards hatred and anger. And I think it was Nelson Mandela. He said that when you hate someone and you're angry with them, it's like drinking poison and expecting it to affect them, not you, you know? And it never does. It never affects them more than you. It is something that is resentment and I mean, I run a health business, so the people that I see coming in every day, it's the people that are the most angry that actually creates the most illness. Like if you look at how fast you're bouncing back, that is a good, strong immune system. And if you spent your life in anger and hatred, your immunity would be affected by the entire process, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I'm reading a few books at the moment on specifically these things. One book is actually called the Healer's Code.
Yes.
I'm reading right now. It's absolutely fantastic book. Really learned a lot about it. And it's kind of like what we eat, right? What you put in is what you get out. And to be honest with you, when I say something bad about someone else, and that person is not in the room, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that for a long time, just because it makes me feel really, really bad. And I don't enjoy that. You know, it's just because then I go to bed, I feel guilty. And I really believe that saying, maybe that's the right way of saying it, how I get along with the fact that I know that people say bad things about me or wish me bad stuff. I always say to myself, I wish you 7 times what you wish me, and I hope it's something good, because in my heart is pure.
Yeah.
So I'm just sending pure love, but it doesn't matter depending on what you wish me, right?
I remember when I had my first spiritual teacher, you know, she always said to me, she said, don't actually wish anyone bad, just wish them back 10 times what they've wished you. And I remember thinking that and thinking, wow, that's diabolical, but very, really, very pure, but very deadly. And I mean, I was like, that is taking karma to a whole new level, because you can just think that, right? And you can think, I wish you I really wish you 10 times whatever you have wished me. And if it's a blessing, it's a blessing. And if it's not a blessing, well, you know, it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I think, you know, especially during times of Corona now, I think a lot of people are struggling with a lot of things more. A lot of people are very lonely because we are always at home. And even people who have a lot of friends, like we're very social human beings, right? And I think even being home for myself, sometimes I feel really, really lonely. And I guess, you know, it's even more important now to just read through the lines. When someone is really mean with you, maybe they just really need some love, you know, and just more compassion and just someone to actually listen to them vent, whatever it might be, right? And so yeah, I think Corona has really put a lot of things in perspective for me personally.
I think it's also shown up a lot of people's lives, the weak spots in your life. It's the things that you don't have become very magnified, and the things that you do have become very magnified on both levels. And it's a really good learning experience, because when you're trapped is when you are forced to see what is in front of you. You can't turn around and run away from it, because it is exactly what is there. And I think that for me, it has brought, it's like, you know, when you, what do you call those things? Is it a kaleidoscope? You know, when you have the telescope and you twist it and it comes and the picture changes and it comes. To me, the pandemic has been like that. I've been looking down a different lens and you twist and it all suddenly becomes super clear. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do. Whereas when it was very busy, it was hard to hear those voices, right?
Yes, I guess, you know, with the pandemic, surely for me, it has just really refocused as well some of my goals. And also it has definitely silenced the noise, because, you know, you're not seeing so many people, you're not running around. I don't need to be on a plane all the time. And I can really focus on my work here and my companies and my PhD and so on, my children. And it's, you know, my family life, just my personal life as well, and myself, which has really been a big blessing, to be honest with you, because I find myself to be so much more calmer. Yeah, if I talk to someone, if I call someone, I really make time. Before it was just, you know, there's always WhatsApps and Instagram messages and so on. And it's hard to keep in touch with the people you really, really love. But now I think when you really talk to someone, it means so much more.
Yeah, you're making
certainly for me. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into the next bit, Tessy. What are your ambitions? What do you see? You have a stage, you know, and you have a wide platform. And what would you want to do with that platform? Because you already do a lot, but just talk me through some of that.
Well, I think my ambitions, certainly now during Corona, is taking one day at a time, because we don't know what is tomorrow, you know. But in a holistic way, I think what I'm trying to achieve is just to create kind of a legacy for my children. For firstly, that they see that we are very privileged. We have an unearned privilege to be born in Luxembourg and to have grown up in such a sheltered environment as we all did. This is unearned because we didn't choose that. It just happened, right? We were born there. And a lot of other people do not have that unearned privilege. And as such, I think I want to give back since a long time, because I have seen so many crazy stuff when I was in the military, when I was deployed to Kosovo, also as part of the royal family. I have seen things. I have seen where a lot of people have a lot of things and they still are not happy, or they're still not good people. And, you know, it just, I have seen so much in my last 35 years, really, that make me really ambitious, that the world needs more togetherness, community, helping a helping hand. And yes, I cannot save each and every one of the women in this world and man as I would like to, but I can start. It's like putting a stone in the water And, you know, the trickle down effects of that stone, they will be there. And even if it's under the water, they will happen.
It always does.
And
any movement you make affects and changes the world completely. Even the smallest thing that you do has impact.
exactly. And I think I want to show that to my children. I think I love my boys so much. They are my absolute blessing, and they themselves are already really, really engaged with everything that I'm doing, and also with their own tasks already, their own projects, which is beautiful. But it's really just when I leave this world, what I've learned within the last years, without maybe people will read through the lines, money cannot buy you a legacy that people will say she really tried her best to help where she can. I cannot go and bury myself knowingly with millions of money on top of my coffin.
Well, it's been tried in Egypt, and it didn't get anyone very far at all.
There you go. But it's really that, you know, I have seen it all, or I have seen a lot, and I've seen how unhappy people can be with all of that. And I think it's just, I want my legacy to be that I might not be the perfect person. I am not perfect in any way, but I love life and I love what I'm doing. And I really love the people I'm meeting, and I want to help out where I can. And so, you know, one day at a time, and, you know, no project is too small. So that is really my ambition. And my ambition hopefully will one day be my legacy, and that my children will continue.
That's beautiful, Tessy. How do you choose the projects? What are the parameters within which you think, okay, because you can't do everything. Even you do so much, but you can't do everything. So what are the parameters within which you think, okay, I want to make a difference here and I want to make a difference there?
Well, it needs to be, so of course, every single project has its own beauty and its need, right?
Yes.
Purpose. But you cannot do everything. That comes with focus as well, right? There's so many projects, you don't have enough hours in the day, and you will not live long enough to see all of these succeed.
And you'll do them badly because you can't do everything.
Exactly. So I think focus is the name of the game. And if there's projects that I like, which often happen actually, that I don't think I can give my all, or it's not what I'm normally doing, it's not my category. Like, for example, I got approached by a wonderful charity, the Dogs Trust in the UK, who helps domestic violence victims who don't leave the home because their animal is still there. And they take the animal, they bring them to foster people, and then the people who are being abused get help. And I said, you know, I think, well, I'm of course working a lot in domestic violence. I said, but I love animals. I wanted always to be a vet. I had a cow, I had chickens, I had snakes, I had hamsters, dogs, cats, birds, like you name it. I probably had an animal like that, besides crocodile and stuff that no. But I really love animals. I even have a mouse downstairs. Her name is Cinderella. So we have quite a lot of different things here. But I've never, you know, I said, I want to be there to empower women. I want to be there to make this world a better place in a way with education and social justice. Yeah. And, you know, animal welfare. I said, I have so many good friends, which that is their only purpose in life. And I said, I love animals and I care deeply about them, but there's so many other people who can do so much better than I. Yeah. And so I put these projects to them. I give it to my friends. And that is how I do it. So if I cannot do it myself, because when I get involved like you, I really want to give 100%. I really want to feel the project and really give my best. And if I can't do that, then I don't take it. And that I feel and that I know, because I know my workload. Logistics and being organized is the name of the game, and you need to learn that, and it's something you need to learn. It's not something you just happen. Well, some people are naturally just OCD with organizational structure in their minds. That's fantastic, but as Oprah says, that's the 1%, right? There's not everyone is like that.
Oh, I agree. I'm terrible at it.
I get really pretty good at it, but only because of the military. So I need to learn it the hard way, because if I wasn't, my shit would be out of the window.
No, I learned it with the children. when my son got ill, because there's such a tight deadline that you have to react within, and the medicine has to happen. You're right. It's the same. You forced into learning it, right?
Exactly. And I think with that is how I know I can do it and I feel it, and can I add it to my schedule? You know, there you can see a little bit parts of my whiteboard, and it is quite packed, right? Yep. And it's just really, you know, what can I add? And if I can't, I will say no. So I think to be focused and to be ambitious and resilient means as well to say no, because otherwise you just become as shallow as a little water tobel here, as they say here in Switzerland, and then you do no one any good. So yeah, that is how I choose my projects, kind of.
I love that. That's really clever, because actually you get approached a lot. I find that you have some, I mean, not on the same level as you, but I get a charity every week that says, can you do this? Can you do, and you can't help everybody, and you can help some people a lot. And then but I hadn't thought of handing that off to people. That's a really great idea. I'm going to keep that.
And it's so nice because, you know, you
feel good as well.
You feel good, but also, you know, you see your friends growing their network. Like Farah, who's online here listening, she knows good that I send a lot of people her way, because she just does so many things I don't do.
Yeah.
And she is so good at it as well that I don't even want to try, because she's just the best in it. And I think that way, all my friends have all that special skills. And so I just spread out the love, because I think that is why we are in the positions we are, because somewhere, someone has decided that is our purpose, kind of like a super spreader connector.
As far as just saying thank you. So can I, Tessy, we have, this is going to go out to a global audience, and we have a lot of listeners from Europe, from the States, and, you know, and the odd one from, you know, my continent, as it were, of Africa. I'll just take the whole continent at this stage.
I love the African continent.
Oh my God, so much. I just love it so much.
America, of course, as well. Hello, everyone.
Yes.
The side of the pond.
And you know, I wanted to say that one of the things that's happening at the moment, and one of the reasons I'm bringing this up, is that by the time that this airs in America, you know, we will be ever closer to having some kind of political resolution. We hope some kind of place where this works. But COVID is still, like in London, we're just coming out of the lockdown. So much of what's happening now is leaving women feeling really, really powerless, because they're in a place where they just can't achieve anything, and they are losing their jobs first. They're in a place where they are being hurt. It's the lowest paid jobs. It's the jobs that women do. And when you are going to let somebody off, it's almost always women that get fired the most. So this pandemic has hurt women more than it has hurt men, absolutely, you know, across the board. You've been in places like I have where you feel powerless and you feel like you can't come out, you don't know what's ever going to happen, and then you feel responsible for your children. And it's one of the worst places to be in. What do you say, what can you say to these women, you know, where they don't see any hope? Where did you find the place where you could feel hope?
Of course, not comparing my life to some other woman's lives, because
no, but we can feel emotions are emotions. Okay. Yes,
exactly. But personally, then, when I felt the lowest, obviously, you know, as a woman, when you get divorced and kids are in the game, and you literally kind of like fighting in court one of the most powerful families in Europe, alone, it's scary. You know, it's really, really scary. And so, finding myself really being alone, being judged by literally the whole world, newspapers over newspapers with stories, and being called gold digger and spat at, and like really crazy stuff actually happened to me while I was.
Well, that's awful. I mean, Meghan Markle said she was the most trolled person last year. And I was thinking of you. I was just like, oh my God.
I think It was hard for me. I will not compare myself to her as well, for sure. But for me personally, it was just hard for me to realize that humanity can be ugly too, and that people sometimes cross the line because it makes them feel better, I guess. But yeah, what I would say to this woman is that you will reach your low point at some point, especially and frustration and fear is one of the biggest catalysts of change and innovation, but it's also one of the biggest hindrance and barriers you can put in your life. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? And as such, at the beginning, that fear was really consuming me. I was scared, I was scared, oh my God, I get 70 pounds a week from my ex-husband for my 2 children, how I'm going to do that, and hard to find a job because obviously everyone thought, oh, I must have millions on my bank account. And it was hard. And that's why I opened my own company, because I thought I'm unemployable because no one will employ me. They just have so many stereotypical judgments on me, and it's just it was a tricky situation. And also to build up my reputation, that people actually would see me for who I am. And
I was going to say, to see you for you as yourself.
And I think every woman will relate to that then, when you go through a low point, people will judge you. And what I have learned is that it's okay, because people will always judge you, even if you're on your highest cloud in the sky and you are the most famous and richest with the biggest house and the best car and whatever you wish for your life. People will always judge you. So I'm sorry to break that news to you, but it is true, right, Gita?
Yes, so true.
Wherever you are in your life, people will.
And there's as many that will hate you as that will love you for no basis of truth, just because they feel like that.
Exactly. There's actually one quote before I continue. There's a quote that says, I love you, all of you. Now you might think, oh my God, she's crazy because she doesn't know me. But you can hate me without knowing me, so I can love you without knowing you.
Love that.
But the thing is, so to move on then, so fear will be there and people will judge you. So just get on with it, because there will always be these few people in your life which love you more than anything. And your kids are definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, depending on how many you have. And it's just really focus on these few people in your life, because it doesn't matter the quantity, it is the quality that matters. And then next, what are you good at? If you lost your job as well during the crisis now, which a lot of people did, specifically in the US, and the US health system, which is attached to a job. So a lot of people have no health insurance, they have no money, they have lost their jobs. A lot of women who are also responsible for the children, a lot of kids who are already in debt because of their university education, because education inflation. Because in the US, kind of like you need to go to university to do a cleanest job.
Yes.
It's really crazy stuff what's happening there. And I don't know the right answer, to be honest, because I think the one who gets the answer to that is the life savior for everyone. But what I would say is that keep educating yourself. What are you good at? What I have seen in the pandemic, there's all of these online courses, for example, which are for free now.
They're free.
So many. Exactly. So many. And Wi-Fi, you can get Wi-Fi for free in so many places, right? And it doesn't cost very much anymore. So there's so many ways that's how you can connect to people like us, for example, right? Ask for advice or do research. And I think, there is always a way out somehow with hard work. And hard work means evenings, weekends, holidays, every day, all day, like I did for a long time. And you, Gita, as I know. And and it's just, nothing is being built on nothing. That's what I always tell my kids. Without effort, there's nothing. From complaining, you get nothing.
No, I agree.
So, and yes, it's hard times, and some more than others. I will definitely not compare my life to some other people who are homeless, who have lost their loved ones. Yes, I have corona, and my father almost passed away, but I didn't lose anyone on corona that I know. So I feel lucky in that perspective. I feel blessed, but others have. So, and all of these other things, some people left a relationship because they were abused and raped and stolen and all of these things. So despite, all of these factors, of course, which I cannot judge, and I will not judge them, and I will not tell these women it will be okay, because it's not for me to say.
No.
But what I will say from my perspective is that just there will always be a way. There will always be some kind of light at the end of the tunnel if you want to see it, and get help. There's so much help out there. I think the corona crisis has really put out so many resources. Governments are really investing in that. Institutions, charities have popped up for the corona response, for childcare, mental health, for all kinds of things. So I think it has exposed a lot, as you said before.
Yeah.
But I think it has also made available so many new avenues and opportunities, and just created such connections between human beings, where we actually really think about the value of human life a bit more again than before.
The other thing I really liked that you said was that fear is something that stops you, but that it's double-edged sword, that it creates immense change. And I know that the times where I have felt like you, where I didn't have the money to feed my kids, and I felt so poor and helpless and vulnerable, those times were the times that have helped me to become more powerful and more compassionate, because I know that before these things happened, there were places where I would be more judgmental. I was totally bitchier, and there were places where I was much more able to be like very sassy about something, whereas now I'm much more compassionate where it comes to people, because I know that there's places that I've been through these things. But it had made me a much, much better person. And I think that for people that are feeling lost and helpless and not sure what's going to happen, things get broken in order to create a space for a new thing to come in. It's just not always possible to see it at the time the thing's being broken. Sometimes it takes you a while. How long has it taken you, Tessy, to feel in position the way you are today, the solidity of who you are today? I've watched you become more yourself over the last few years,
Well, I would definitely say since the breakup, definitely 3 years, something like that, to kind of feel grounded. But if I can be honest with you, Gita, I do not feel like I have arrived yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm far from, because there's still quite a lot of things in my mind which make me kind of smile, that I still really want to achieve, at least in the next 2 years. So I just put myself some crazy tasks, and I write them down, and I put myself a timeline. Sometimes I don't reach that timeline, but that's not about that. It's about the path. It's about me reminding myself I made myself this promise. As I said to you before, right? I would never cancel on you. I would never cancel on anyone, even that I was so sick. And yes, some people maybe think I'm crazy, and it's a bit unsensible. But that is just how I am. And I will go to bed after this anyways. And I was resting all day. But it's just, I make myself my own goals and what I need to put in place to reach these. And I think, each and every one of us, also the people listening to this, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself in, let's say, 6 months? Because with Corona, we just don't know, right? But what do you want to learn? What is one new skill you want to master?
Yeah, exactly. Break it down.
6 months. Exactly. Where do you want to be, What is that one thing you want to really buy yourself or your kid? What is that one thing you want to change in your life, but you couldn't so far?
Yeah.
What is that one course you always wanted to take? What is that one letter you always wanted to write that one person that is such a fan for you? You love that person, but you never really dared to approach that person. You know, just all of these things that you can already do today, do it. You know, write it down and put that list somewhere that you see it. And I have mine. And it's really just about, you know, just doing it and make yourself accountable to yourself, because that is how you respect yourself as well. Because if you don't respect yourself, if you don't push towards what you promised yourself, then how would you like other people to keep their promises towards you if you can't even keep your own? I think it starts all at home, doesn't it?
There's a wonderful saying from show jumping, when you ride horses and jump over fences. And they say that before, you always know whether someone will clear the jump, because before the jump happens, you have to throw your heart over the jump. So when you throw your heart over, then your body follows. And that sounds exactly to me like what you said. And I didn't think about it, but that's what I did. I made outlandish goals.
It's scary.
Scary as shit. And also because it releases every inadequacy you are ever going to have, suddenly comes up and goes, oh my God, this is never going to happen. But you know what? You throw your heart first, and then everything comes after that.
For sure. 100%. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be hard.
Yes.
You're going to be tired. But also, sometimes you're going to fail. And that's okay. Because
failing is good. It just closes the thing you're not meant to do to open the door you are meant to go towards.
Yes, but even failing is part of sometimes failing is on the path.
Yes, always.
And it's just, you know, people are always afraid to fail. I think I would be afraid not to fail or at some point, because if you're always right, how do you know that you're going the right way, right? It's just to kind of like redirect yourself and just again refocus. It's kind of like it's when you go into the wash garage with your car and the car gets into these rails, right? And you get wrongly in, right? When you
go back out.
It's kind of like, it kicks you in, or you need to move out and in and out and in and all that stuff, right? And I think that is what failing does to you. It puts you in the right track so that you can come out shiny and better on the other side.
I like that. That's wonderful, Tessy. I completely love that. I have made speeches completely about failure, about how many times I failed. I think those failures are a badge of honor, because I tried. The worst thing in life, I think, would be to not try. That's my biggest fear, honestly. Tessy, I love you dearly. I am so grateful that you joined me this evening. Thank you very much for keeping your promise. It is always a pleasure. I speak to you and I come away a happier, calmer person. You have this amazing effect. And I just hope that everybody who is listening and everybody who gets to enjoy this feels the same way. And I would like very, very much to thank you for your time and everybody for joining us. And it's just lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Gita, my darling. And thank you everyone for listening in live, and for the others listening to this later.
Yeah.
Please to get in touch. Would love to hear from you what you're struggling with, or what you're really proud of, and just
where do they find you, Tessy? Please tell you from Instagram. Where can they find you?
Yes. Instagram, Tessy_from_Luxembourg, or my Twitter, Tessy_DE, or I am also now, since today, on with my podcasts and everything. You can reach me on that as well, and listening to some of my podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, if you put Tessy Antony de Nassau Zoom o'clock. So would love to hear your feedback, and just get in touch. You know, what is the worst I can say? No.
I like that. And you know what? Listen, you've been listening to her. It's unlikely, because you're always trying to help. I have never yet reached out to you with something, how outlandish or how small, whereas there hasn't been some kind of response. And considering how much you do and how busy you are, that is actually very much of a miracle. So thank you so much, my love. I'm really absolutely grateful. I have some rest now.
Wait, who is that? Angie.
That's Angie's, if you want to book it.
Yes, definitely. Also for everyone listening to this, please try, well, you all know probably, but also for the newbies who will see it when I share it, Gita's company of detox is a gem. So please to get in touch, specifically during times of Corona. I think it's really important what you do, because that is how you keep yourself fit. As we said before, you are what you put in. And so I think it's fabulous what you're doing. And I have so much to learn from you. But that's for another day.
We'll do that another time. Thank you, my love. Take care of yourself. And thank you very much for joining me.